Hello stitchy friends, I am back with another cross stitch video and I am so excited that I get to chat with you today, to visit with you today. My name is Joanne, the Story Stitcher, and I am just thrilled to be here. I like to imagine what you might be stitching on, whether you are an Ada girl, linen, even weave, the count, the project, the floss. If you'd love to share, I would really enjoy hearing in the comments what you might be stitching on while we're hanging out today. I'll show you my stitching and I would love to hear about yours. Today's video is all about cross stitch. I'm going to be showing you some autumn WIPS as well as some Christmas stitching plans along with a couple of vintage patterns / kits that I have been putting together. And a very special thank you to everyone who has come back. If you're a subscriber, if you're new, I always read your comments. They're always a blessing to me. So thanks for the time that you take to type out a couple words and say hello. It is a delight to hear what you're working on or your tips, your encouragement, all of those great things. I hope everybody is having a wonderful autumn. It is sunny here in California. As you can see, I live in Southern California and it's starting to feel like autumn. We have a couple of leaves falling from the trees. We did have one rainy day. And so for California, fall is starting to arrive and it's fantastic. I have tucked away my Halloween WIPS as you saw in my last video, but those are tucked away in their little Halloween bag, and I have some WIPS that you haven't seen in a couple of episodes that I'm so thrilled to pull back out and share with you. And then I also have some Christmas stitching plans. Here's my Ada, and I'm going to show you those Christmas stitching plans, at least a sneak peek of a few things that will be coming. Let's jump on in. This one I'm going to flip around. I always do this. I don't know if anybody else has this problem. During the week when I'm cross stitching, I have my pattern flipped around so I can see the pattern. And then when it's time to hit record, I realize, oh no, I'm gonna flash the pattern. So we're doing just a little costume change here for my pattern sleeve. And there we have it. This is Pumpkins for Sale. It is by Stitches Through the Years. And I am using all of the called for DMCs. I'll pop a picture up there for you. And I'm just loving it. This is what I would say is my primary November stitch now. I started it in August, tucked it away for October, and it's ready to go with the goal of finishing this by the end of November as my official autumn piece. And let's show you where I'm at. I ironed it, so it's looking pretty snazzy. Here's what we have. I just love it. I'm using all of the called for threads. And I'll tell you a few things. So I have, the last time you saw it, I had done the cute little couple. I had just done sort of the upper part of them. And then in the last week or two, went on down and finished the rest of them. And then I will be going over here and I will be filling in. Oh yeah, it's this cute pumpkin with the for sale sign. That's the last thing I have to do. It's gonna be finished, fingers crossed. From the image, I believe that when the demo was stitched, they used a fancy floss. It's really gorgeous and her skirt is a little bit variegated, which you'll see in the photo. And at the time of starting this, I did not have any fancy floss. And so I had followed a tutorial on how to, I believe it was Jane Farish, on how to kind of mimic that just using DMC. And so I started with the basket, or I'm sorry, the little cart, and I used 3 different shades, maybe 4 of regular thread. And I just parked my threads. This took quite a while. You heard about that in my update a couple of videos ago. And so I was preparing to do the skirt in the same fashion. And it worked. For this I did 3 just to make it a little easier. And you can see how it turned out. It obviously doesn't look exactly the same as a variegated thread, and I'm okay with that. I think it looks really cute still. I think she's adorable in her little patchwork skirt. And so I'll show you the colors that I used in case you were doing this pattern as well. So it was really nice to get to work through that. It did go faster. This one did go faster than this one. Just practice, right? As we practice things, it does get a little easier. I love her basket. I'll tell you a couple of my oopsies slash fixes. One oopsie is the last time I showed you this. Her little hat was missing part of her band, and I fixed that. Whenever I show something on camera, I see it in a new light. So as I'm uploading the video, I realize, oh, Joanne, you forgot to finish something. You didn't do Nettle's whiskers. So it's really humbling and enlightening when we put things on camera. So I did finish her little band, and here's one of my oopsies. I missed a stitch. I missed a stitch right there at her collar. I don't know what I was thinking. You can see it's a little bit lopsided. I decided to leave it because I think it's kind of cute. I feel like maybe her little shoulder is peeking out. Maybe she's being a little sassy. That's the story that I like to tell myself. So that's what we have. So cute with her basket. And I think they're little pumpkins. Maybe little pumpkins, little apples. And then the floss. This is the prettiest palette. This is the color palette. I've got it here on Floss Drops. And look, I've got a stowaway. This little thing wants to come along. I can't remember what these are called, but I love them. He wants to be attached. And so I've got my little tag that says pumpkins for sale. What I did is when I used Floss Drops, I would obviously put the color on there. And then I just use a tag of an opposite color or a different color just to mark it so I could stay really, really well organized when I use my floss drops. That helps me stay on track. And then obviously these are floss that I had bobbinated, and so I just did that. I figured that would be a really easy to keep everything, an easy way to keep everything attached. And so here's the blues. Aren't they pretty? These are the 4 blues that I did the wagon with, and then I did take this one away because he was a little harder to blend, as you can see. So I went ahead and took that one away, and for her skirt, I just did these lovely 3. And we've got 926, 413, and 931. And I feel like that was a nice little combination of blues that were similar, but just different enough to really stand out and be pretty. That's pumpkins for sale. And it is early November, so I do think I should not have too much trouble finishing the other side. Priority November stitch is coming along, and I feel really proud of it. I don't know about you all, but when I iron something, it feels so luxurious, and it's like your projects are they're getting dressed up and putting on their best wear to be shown to the world. Project number 2 is another priority stitch. I'll say this is my second, and so I want to finish pumpkins for sale in November. I want to finish this one hopefully in 2024. I don't think it should be too hard. I feel like the one thing standing in the way of this one is going to be Christmas because once December hits, I am going full Christmas mode. Full Christmas mode. If it's not Christmas, it's taken a break. As you'll see, this is Little Women, and it does harken back to Christmas in my opinion because of some of the wonderful scenes, and my husband and his daughters love to watch Little Women at Christmas time, so it just might fit the bill. Isn't that precious? So precious. This pattern is by Posie, and this is a 28 count Jobelin by Witchelt, and the color, I want to say the color is coffee, and Pumpkins for Sale is the same fabric, the same weave in the color China Pearl. There's Little Women. A lot of you have been loving this pattern. I know some of you have grabbed it, some of you have stitched it. It is a very enjoyable stitch because it's not too complicated. but I would say it's a little bit time consuming because there's so many color changes. It's deceptively, for a piece that doesn't have a lot of stitching, it has a deceptive number of colors. I found out. These are the colors. So it's a fair bit. But what I loved about this is, as someone who was very new to cross stitching when I began, it helped me build my stash. Here's where it's at. I still have a bit to go. What I did since the last you saw it is I filled in the cute little quilt squares up here, and I finished the house. I had the house blocked out and a little bit of the yard done. I want to say there was probably about 9 greens in this little section. It just took a lot of rethreading of the needle, and you might do 5 or 6 stitches and then switch greens, but I think the color is so pretty. And as you can see, we have our first March sister. Let's see if I can show you my French knots. They might not show up because my camera doesn't have the best focus. Right here, boop, she's got a couple little curls. She has a couple little curls in her hair and her rosy cheeks. So we got to figure out which March sister this is. That's what I've been wondering. I'd be curious what you think. If you have a vote, let me know. I'm going to call that Meg because she looks like the oldest. I'm going to call that Amy because of her yellow hair. So now we're between Beth and Jo. I feel like this is probably Jo because her hair is down, which is sort of a wild thing to do in this era. And she just looks a little more windswept. So maybe this is Beth. Maybe we have Beth. Tell me what you think. Please cast your vote. Do we think that's Beth? She's just a delight. So up next, I'll be stitching the other March girls and the beautiful text, and of course the border. I did the border last. You saw that I kind of had it started. This was my mom's tip. She said do the border last in case you make a mistake. I love my mom. That's something my mom would say and do. And it's actually something that I would say and do as well, just in case. She said close that up at the very end. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm curious what you would do when you do borders. If you do them first, if you do them last. I'm just absolutely smitten with this pattern. Here's all the floss. I know, every time I see it, it's so pretty. Again, this was a great way to build my stash up as a beginner. Lovely, lovely colors. Got our 310 here, taking up the back. And again, I did the same thing as I mentioned. Little Women. They're in a different color tag. I just enjoy that to help keep me organized. And it makes it easy if I have it. Sometimes I like to hang my floss on these little hooks up there. And if I do that, you can see there is one dangling there. If I do that, it shows me what's what. And it does kind of keep them neat if I want to give them a little break from the project bag. You will find something about me because I am a writer, because I'm an author. It's my hope to have a literary pattern, a literary project in the rotation, probably at all times. So this is currently my literary project. I love books, and I already have more that I want to start, more book-inspired patterns, and I have some tucked away. You'll be seeing those soon, which is the perfect time to say thank you to a Flosstuber out there who gave me the nicest shout out in her video. It is Amy M Makes. I'll link her below. And she bought 3 of my books. She bought the Cadence of Grace series and she shared about it in her Flosstube. I think it was a couple of episodes ago. And I was so blessed, so blessed. My mom had texted me about it and sent me the link. And so thank you, Amy. I got to watch that and enjoy it. And I was so blessed by your kind words and to see the books there on your shelf. Amy M, her channel is Darling and it will be linked below. And many of you have left me such comments or Instagram comments about having read the books, and I have one more thank you, and it is all of you who grabbed Sons of Blackbird Mountain. I actually stuck it here because I had posted on my Instagram that it was on sale. Some of you grabbed it when it was on sale, and there's some left. Amazon is stating on the page that it is down to 3 copies, which is fantastic. They're gonna restock. It just blew me away when I posted it, how many of you went and grabbed a copy. So it was the paperback that was on sale. It's in all the forms, but this was the one that was on sale. I love a beautiful lady. You'll see me stitch beautiful ladies. I just love them in their dresses. I love them with their backgrounds. I want to stitch this. This would be a lot of colors, but there's the back. And it has a little bit of a Viking border that I asked the publisher to add because this gal, she comes from Ireland to be a housekeeper for a family in Virginia. They own an apple orchard. You can see the apples there. And she thinks that the 3 sons are little boys. When she sets sail to be their housekeeper, she thinks she's going to help raise them. And then she finds out that they're actually grown men. And she's sailed all the way from Ireland and now she lives here. And so which one is she gonna fall in love with? That's what the story is about. Anyway, thank you for everybody who grabbed that one or read a book. I will link them below and I hope that you enjoy them. This is a new start. Right in this project bag, we have a new start. And I have showed you this when I kitted it up. American Red by October House Fiber Arts. One of the reasons I wanted to work on this was to have a monochromatic project going, maybe at all times. I don't know. You saw me with my October one with the black, and this is a beautiful red. Oh, I love it. And I'll show you what I have. This is totally a new start. This is where it is at. I am doing it on a 25 count. I think it's a Lugana. Yeah, I have the label here from the attic. You saw my attic visit. This is one I grabbed from the attic. It's a 25 count Lugana, and it is in my cherished potato fabric. I am gonna get more of this fabric for sure. And I'm stitching it with the called for threads, Classic Colorworks in Licorice Red. I am smitten with this entire project. I am in love with the potato fabric, and I have quite a new fondness for Classic Colorworks. I've never used it before. It's silky somehow. I don't know how they did that, but I like it. It says 100% cotton. I don't know how this one is so silky, but it tangles less than some other types that I've tried so far. I love them all, right? I love them all for different reasons, but I'm a fan of Classic Colorworks. Let me tell you what I did differently. It wouldn't be me if I didn't make some kind of shift or shimmy. And this one was on purpose. The sample is stitched on 36 count. However, I am a 36 count dropout currently. You saw me do it with Nettle. It pushed me probably to my limits as far as skill and ability. I could do it as long as I had my magnification light. And so when I knew I was going to pick this up, this is a decent sized piece. And I wasn't quite ready to commit to only being able to work on this when I was at the light. The light that I have, I do like it, but it's a little uncomfortable. I'll say that the neck isn't quite long enough. I'll show you my setup another time, but there's a little bit of a strain comfort wise when I'm working with it. I'm kind of trying to get close and my back gets sore. I just get a little uncomfortable. So I decided to stitch it on something that I could absolutely freehand, and it's this 25 count. So if you're good at numbers, which I am not, you've already done the math and said, Joanne, it's not gonna fit, right? If you do it on 25 count, unless you have a very large piece of fabric, which I didn't have. I wanted to use what I had in my stash, and it fit beautifully. However, I have not yet stitched this gorgeous detail. But the good news is that I have a plan on where I'm gonna fit it. Have a little plan. I'm just gonna go work my way down, see how it goes, and I have a spot where I want to work it in by making a little tweak. We'll see what happens. But I I couldn't have more joy when I'm working on this. The fabric is so easy to see. It's so easy to read. I don't know if that's what you call it. Not that you would read fabric. Apparently, I think we can. You know what I mean. It just glides, the needle glides. I'm a happy, happy girl when I'm working on my 25 count potato with Classic Colorworks. And you can see the variegation there. It's a light, delicate variegation, and I am loving it. So it's a good size piece. I'll obviously get to trim it, and I did do a zigzag stitch across all the edges because it was fraying fast. This fabric, the moment I unboxed it, you can kind of see, just was fraying fast. And so since I have very, very little room for error with my borders, I gave it a zigzag stitch because we don't want to lose any of that precious, precious space. That is American Red, and this is one of my November pieces. It just felt like it fit. Up next, we are going to talk Christmas plans. I love Christmas more than I could even describe. It is my favorite holiday, my favorite time of year, when I am a grandma and I can do whatever I want. Maybe gonna have a room dedicated to Christmas. As we near December, the patterns are starting to arrive and the project plans are coming out. And so I have two of those for you today. And interestingly enough, they're both vintage patterns. This next one that I'm going to show you, I am excited about it for a number of reasons. It is going to be my first Christmas stitch. It's going to be my first full coverage stitch. I'm a little scared. And it is very special to me. I don't know why. I'll describe it to you though. I saw this on a D-Stash group. It's been around for a while. It's Christmas Journey. I'm probably more excited than I should be. I'd be really curious to know when you start your Christmas stitching. Do you do it all year long? Maybe you're working on a stocking. Maybe you're making a gift for somebody. How do you prioritize? How do you time your Christmas stitching? Please share your tips, the things that you love, the ways that are important for you. I'd really love to hear. I am having my first crack at Christmas as far as cross stitching goes, and Christmas Journey is going to be one of those pieces. I don't expect to finish it obviously in December. This is a heftier piece than that, but I have begun to kit it up and I'm going to show you what I've got. When I first ordered this, it's by Leisure Arts. It was $3 and I want to say it's from 1993. I think I saw that somewhere on here. Yeah, copyright 1993. When I first got this, I'm looking at the inside. I panicked. I obviously can't show it to you. I wish I could because I want your advice. I panicked when I saw this. I could not understand what it was saying. I literally closed it up and I put it aside and thought, what have I done? And then as I did a few more projects, kept working, kept learning new patterns, I think I cracked the code. I think I know what it's telling me to do, where it has the color, the DMC. This is a full cross, this is a half cross. Then we have this is a quarter cross and then a half cross. And then I realized that said back stitch, and then it has another brand, and then it has the color, and then it repeats itself. It shouldn't have been that hard for me to discern that, but it was, but I figured it out. The reason why I chose this pattern is because I was touched, for lack of a better term, by this image. To see Santa trudging through the snow, and he's carrying that heavy bag. He's on a mission, he's on a journey, and just this snowy, crisp hillside with his lantern. There's something that speaks in this image. And I knew I wanted to stitch it. Will I succeed? I am very much hoping so. and I might call upon you all for some assistance if I get lost or if I get confused. Now that you've sort of seen what's happening there, tell me if you have any tips, advice on how I can make this happen. So this is the beginning of kitting it up. I decided to use bags this time around just because it's going to be so much floss. This is only, of those columns that you saw, this is only 1.5 columns, 1 column maybe. So this is going to grow extensively once I finish kitting it up. So I went ahead and I've basically kitted up enough to start in this corner. I have all the grays, I have all the greens, and I have pulled also from what's in my stash. Beautiful, beautiful Christmas colors. I'm also working on floss storage. So we'll talk more about that in the episodes to come, and in your comments, please share. I have tried bobbins, I have done floss drops as you've seen, and since I'm getting going, I thought why not try floss away bags. These are actually the Artiste brand, but why not try the bags and see if I like that. So what I did for these and kitting it up, I have already cut everything to length, unless it's on a bobbin. I've already cut everything to length just as I would if it was on a floss drop. So it's all the exact same length, so I could easily transfer it if I wanted to. If it is already on a floss drop, I stuck it in there. So it's sort of also a trial and error to see, how do I like full coverage? How do I want to store my floss? It's answering, or I should say it's asking some of those bigger questions, which feels like an adventure. I'm gonna go on a journey with Santa. And I am very excited. Oh, that's the last thing I was going to show. The fabric. So it's done on 25 count. I had decided that I wanted to do it on Aida. This, I haven't even opened this yet, so we're going to open it together. This is the Charles Craft DMC 16 count. I believe I got this at either Hobby Lobby or Joann's Fabrics. It says it's in the color silver, which to me, it just looks like it's white. I haven't even unrolled it. Let's see, we think it's gonna be the right size. I believe so. Wow, I'm so excited. Just your nice standard piece of white Aida. The reason why I wanted to open it with you is because I was going to tell you that this is also the first time that I'm going to do gridding with a pen. Has anybody ever used these? I've been watching a lot of videos to try to decide how do I want to grid. I have done it before where you use thread. I did get tangled in the thread, so I'm going to try this. And I have watched a number of videos that says this will come out if you use the right techniques. I also thought about using pre-gridded fabric, but I saw better reviews with these, that these actually come out better than the pre-gridded. And since not all of this is going to be full coverage, I'm not going to stitch that snow. It's one of the reasons that my fabric is white. I would hate for there to be lines in that snow. That would break my heart. So the adventure continues. The plot thickens. What do you think? Last little preview of Christmas. The last Christmas preview is another vintage pattern. Another one that I grabbed at a D-Stash group. I have an affection for things that are vintage. Look at me in my turtleneck that I got at the thrift store. I don't know why. And it's a Buckley moss, which I'm sure many, many of you have heard of because this has been around for a while. This one is 1992. It's the Christmas Goose ornament. He's pretty darn cute. I already have a crush on him. And that sound you just heard is the original frame. It also has the original kind of velvety backing. It was still in the box, or still in the package. Which means I get to have the full experience. Circa 1993. I haven't opened this yet. I kind of want to open this to take it out. Do we dare? Do we dare open it together? There's a part of me that thinks I should leave it so I could pass it off to the next cross stitcher so they can have the full experience. Let's get some scissors. Hold your breath. This is no longer going to be an original unopened package from the 90s. But I say there's no time like the present. There it is. Whoops. There it is. Let's see here. I think it's P. Buckley moss, right? I said Buckley moss. P. Buckley moss. You can see the 1982. How cute. I didn't realize it said that. And then on the back, it says copyright moss 1990. I know that's really hard to see, so I'll tell you it says 1990. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's gonna be like that. And I'm gonna have my little goose ornament. How thrilling. I know, cross stitch, how could it possibly be thrilling? But if you're watching this, you understand. It is indeed thrilling. I will show you what I'm gonna stitch it on, and I've already pulled my floss. Whoops, we got another stowaway. They're just all over today. This I borrowed from Nettle. I trimmed it off of Nettle last night. It said to do 36 count, and so I knew, don't change it, Joanne, or it's not gonna fit in the frame. So despite the fact that 36 count makes me nervous, I figured he is so little, our little goose friend is so small that it shouldn't be too hard to sit there with the magnifying light and get him done. So let me show you my plans. Right back here, I have my hoops. And I'm probably just gonna use this one, which is what I did for that purpley one that I showed you at Halloween with the pumpkins. I'll just pop this in here. That's a little crooked, but it worked really well, surprisingly enough. So that's the hoop I think I'll use. So I'm not too worried about having cut a very small piece because I just didn't want to take away from that 36 count more than necessary. So that's what I'll stitch it on or stitch it in. And this calls for a lot of blends. Does anybody know when variegated floss became a thing? When did that become a thing? So if you know, if you have memories of this, I would be really, really interested to hear. What I'm gonna do, I decided just to pull from my stash, and this is what I have. I went ahead and grabbed some weeks. Obviously the black and the orange would be his head and his beak. I'm thinking about doing this one for his body, but I'm not sure. I have other body options, so I would like to get your input. I don't remember what that one's there for. Oh, I also have to show you that in a second. Okay. So I'm thinking about doing this for his body. It's obviously a little more in the green family than it is in the golden-y red family, but I think I'm okay with that. I have other body options that I just pulled from my stash. I also have this brown and this gray because I think it would be cute. It would obviously look a little different, but those are some things that I've pulled so far. Again, all on this fabric. Does his belly have to be brown? I'm not sure. I like the idea of making things our own. I often think to myself, we're not going to frame the pattern, we're going to frame the piece. And that's, I think, where it really counts, is what we frame. So, and I pulled 8/16 for his dashing little bow. And it looks like there's a little bit of shading in there, maybe. So those are the colors that I have for Mr. P. Buckley Moss Goose. He might need a name. Let me know if you have any thoughts or ideas about color choices. And this is what I want to show you. This fell out of the pattern. For your convenience and ease in selecting the correct colors, the floss has been separated into 2 bands with a key color. I'm assuming this is a shopping list that one would take to the craft store before we had cell phones and before you would just, you know, maybe look it up or have it somewhere. Is that what this is? Is this a shopping list? I love that. I don't know what it means by band 1, band 2. If that's important, please let me know. I don't know what that means. Does that have to do with the blends? So if you know what band 1, band 2 is implying, I'd be very grateful for your advice. Last little detail. I wanted to finish it on this. because I thought that would be really, really charming to hang the ornament on the tree. Cannot wait. And it's obviously a small. We'll see what happens. It's another project where the pattern is a little bit tricky to discern. It has, I'm not going to show you the pattern. I hope it's okay if I show you this information, but it has like information on stitch counts and things like that. It's got some specialty stitches, French knot, back stitch. I can do that. Elongated contour, a half cross stitch, and a contouring stitch. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning experience, and I think that's nice. Hopefully you'll see Goose again soon for Christmas. And I was thinking of one other little shout out. Couple more shout outs is I asked you all last time about grime guards and got so many amazing comments that I could go to the Dollar Tree and get a steering wheel cover, and that is what I have done. I got Pinky here. They had velvet ones. I couldn't resist the velvet. And there's my snap frame. And so I've been stitching, especially the October, the red sampler that you saw, because there's so much fabric. I just roll it up on my snap frame and then I tuck it all in to the steering wheel cover. And it's amazing. You do have to fiddle with it a little bit to get it. If this was, say, the front, obviously this would be covered with the project. So I kind of fiddle with it a little bit to get it where I want it to lay. And it does double duty that you can tuck your needle in there. So thank everybody for the tips on that. Other thank yous are Amy M. Makes, gave her a little shout out. She was a delight. Amy, I look forward to watching more of your videos. And another one that I have written down is Liz Matthews. Only just because I have been enjoying her channel. I've been enjoying so many of your channels. And the last couple of days I have gone back and been watching Liz Matthews's older videos where I was just so encouraged. And so I wanted to share with you in return. I think of Liz Matthews as this world-renowned, incredible cross-stitch designer. You know, it's the Liz Matthews, or it's, you know, the Stacey Nash, fill in the blanks. And so to go back a couple of years and to find her earlier Flosstube videos and to see that she started as a punch needle artist, as a punch needle designer. I'm only a couple episodes in, and to hear her talking about punch needle and just seeing her beginnings. And Liz, you probably won't see this, but the FFO question that she shared, where she wanted to know what an FFO was. She wanted to know what a WIP was. She called it an FFO and FIF, which gave me such a giggle and warmed my heart to know that it's not about who you are. It's not about where you're at now. Because I think a lot of times, again, as someone who's very, very new to cross stitching, I look at where people are at now and I think to myself, wow, I could never do that, you know, or that looks so hard, or oh my goodness. And to see that even the lovely Liz Matthews was trying to figure out what an FFO was, and she called it an FIF, and she was trying to figure out what a WIP was, and she wanted to know what a sow was. She was asking her mom, Kathy Barrick, what a sow was. Just brought me so much joy. So thank you to Liz Matthews for sharing your journey from the beginning for the rest of us to enjoy. So if you haven't gone back, you would be blessed, I think. And the last little thing that I'll show you, it's sitting here. I actually forgot it was sitting here, and I wasn't going to show you this. It's been hanging in every single Flosstube episode that I've done, right there. And I took it down today because I haven't showed you this yet, because you could say I felt a little bit embarrassed to do it in one of my WIPS or finishes, my little parades that I've done so far. Today's the day I'm going to show it to you, inspired by Liz Matthews. And this is my second cross stitch finish. I showed you the first, which was a little tiny mushroom jar. This is the second cross stitch piece that I ever did, and I did this in August of this year. It's currently November, so this is from August of 2024, and it is the squirrels. I finished it in a wreath that I got at Hobby Lobby and a little piece of lace that my daughter had in her crafting area. My daughter is very, very crafty. I borrow a lot of stuff from her. And these squirrels were probably the hardest thing that I have ever done. And they were very, very difficult. Their tails are not the same. As you can see, this one's a little perkier on that side. I made a mistake there. I made mistakes in the width of that center band. I think I had to be off a stitch because I made the squirrels off. So I had to make that bigger, which meant in order to make this, what's supposed to be an ornament, in order to make it round. Is it round? I don't know. I worked really hard to try to make it look round. And so I thought, why not finish it? That's the back. You can see the Ada. I kind of snipped my Ada, and then I punched little holes, and I tied little bits of thread because I was nervous to glue. There you have it, my second stitch. And this was a little Etsy pattern. I can't remember the designer, so I will link it below. All mistakes and all, this led me to keep going. And I was so proud of this. I worked so hard on this. This is the one that I did right before Mr. Goose. We'll just get the whole gang. Let's see. Let's see if I can. You're gonna see my messy floor, and you're gonna see my basket of WIPS. There's Mr. Goose. He is definitely bumpy and crookedy, and look at those stitches, but I could not be more proud of Mr. Goose and our squirrels, and of course, my little mushroom jar. This was piece number 1. So in honor of Liz Matthews and her sharing the beginning of her journey, I think it's really inspiring to show you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers or know all the slang. And to realize that at that time, Liz Matthews, I don't even know if she did a whole lot of cross stitching. And that was just a couple years ago. So wherever you're at, keep having fun. Keep having fun. And we're gonna keep stitching together. And how much I love this community and getting to follow these designers, get patterns, connect with you all. It is an utter joy. And if you can tell by my smile, I'm enjoying every minute of it, unless I have to tear out my stitches and then I'm not smiling. Other than that, there's this big old smile. And I look forward to seeing you again. I've got some really fun things coming up for Christmas, possibly a little Christmas surprise. We'll see. I'm working on a couple of things, and I will see you all again. Have an amazing start to your November, amazing time stitching. I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye, everybody.